So, I've been away for a while. I've had the craziest month and a half of work. I did some commission work on the side. I have had zero time to do anything outside of my usual work and socializing, online socializing routines. So, no time for videos. And I'll be honest, the minute I had some free time, I was like, I really want to get back to doing this. So, nice and easy one. Nice and simple, nothing complex. We're just going to go back to doing some more theme park stuff. I actually originally was going to line up something big. Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, one of these kind of ones that are going to come eventually. But to be honest, I started it and I was like, you know what? It felt weird. It feels weird. I feel like I should do like a good amount of research into it. I feel like I want to kind of come at those videos with like the gravitas that they demand, the classics. So instead, I'm going to hold off on those ones. I got a couple of books. I've got some videos that I'm wanting to get caught up on. Yes, I said book. I have individual books about the individual rides, which is... So we're just going to go simple this time around, and The Secret Life of Pets full ride POV at Universal Studios in Hollywood. I don't know why. I was flicking through options. I was looking through YouTube and I just saw this one. I was just like, you know what? I feel like there's going to be a lot to talk about in here. It's only 12 minutes long. Let's just jump in and see what comes out the other end. I accidentally stopped the recording. I think I just lost half an hour of footage. Well, let's go back to the start. Oh. Okay. Well, at least this video will probably be shorter because I'll fly through it faster. Oh my god. Okay, let's start from the start. Secret Life of Pets. Shout out to Theme Park Shark. I can't believe I'm doing this all again. Oh, fucking hell. Secret Life of Pets. Hotel Transylvania. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Frozen. Tangled. Onward. Secret Life of Pets. Secret Life of Pets is, I'm sure, popular because you've got animals in it. It's a CGI movie. They've got the big marketing budget, and it probably came out either in the summer or around about Christmas time. So it is its own thing. It's its own brand to a certain degree. At the very least, it's a franchise. I would argue that it's not necessarily a full brand of its own because it's so devoid of personality, of charisma, of unique characters, of a fun story, of an interesting world. It's very, very safe by the books. I would say maybe Kevin Hart's rabbit character is closest thing they've got to like a Minions. Actually, this is Illuminations. So it's actually the same studio that do Minions. So in short, I find Secret Life of Pets is one of those ones where when I found out that it was getting its own ride, I just thought, well, why? And also, how? What the hell do you do with that world? It's a modern day, real life New York apartment. It's a Secret Life of Pets. Jesus Christ. Oh, right. We'll get through this video. We will make it. Beautiful front. Love the entrance. I love that it's this skinny looking building. Having seen halfway through the ride, it fits. It's nice. The outside fits the inside. The paint jobs, I love the green on the inside of the windows. On that shade of white, it really like pops out with the pink on the outside. Beautiful. Right. This is during COVID time, so I'm going to be a little bit fairer on the ride for certain things. So, as you can see from this, there's the hotel lobby, right? This is the theming is that you're inside the New York apartment building, right? So you've got this kind of hotel lobby vibe when you come in. In terms of theming, you've got some dog biscuit or dog bone shaped icons on some jars. The poster in the back ain't really much. The walls are very empty. There's not really much life. But it is very true to the movie. It's very true to the world that they establish in the movie. It's not a Hotel Transylvania. It doesn't necessarily have that level of like chaos to it. To its own detriment, I would say. So as you come in, this is the introduction to the world, right? This is the introduction into the space. Do you welcome them into the space with like a character or a narrative, or do you have them enter the space and those things kind of unfurl over time? If you put a face or a voice kind of welcoming to the world, then you can get that narrative across immediately, like right away, and you can get exactly the tone that you want to hit. Or if you do it the other way, where you don't put a voice or a face on the narrative at the beginning, it can really help if your actual narrative is like they're sneaking in, or they're somewhere they're not supposed to be, or there's a bit of kind of dread, or maybe you just kind of really want to up the discovery angle. Like if it's implied that the riders themselves are like Indiana Jones style, like archaeologists, then you can kind of sell that better, perhaps, without having someone being like, "Welcome to the tomb of blah blah blah." Instead, they find the front door to the tomb of blah blah blah. But the danger, and what we're seeing here is this is how this manifests, is you gotta leave breadcrumbs of some semblance of a world. So I think a missed opportunity here is on this side, on this wall here. You've got like these are like where people get their mail put into for the apartments upstairs. So an apartment building in a movie world, you want every door, every apartment to kind of have these like characters living in them. You want it to feel like the apartment is like bursting with people's lives of interesting characters. And this mailbox thing at the side, this is the first time you're seeing that premise, and they've done fuck all with it. Like the side, if some of those panels were like slightly open, if the one was like overflowing with mail, like obviously, you know, it's been a long time since they've come down and got it, maybe because they're dead, probably not. That's not the idea you want to get across with a kids movie. But you have other little things, trinkets hanging out of stuff, like little post-it notes with like passive aggressive, like get your mail, or like your dog pooped on my doorstep again, or something like that. But that is an opportunity there for introducing an interesting world that you're about to enter into, where you're about to maybe see some of these people or animals. The front bit here, this elevator, there is an animatronic here. I didn't even spot it the first time around until the camera pulled in and it was moving. And then you can hear sound effects of it, like it's like chewing. I honestly can't even really tell what the fuck it is. I think it's a cat. It might be a guinea pig. It might be the guinea pig from the movie. that you'll see later on in the ride, and I didn't know that the first time around when I watched this. But you've got something there that's a little bit interesting. I would argue that it's not really gonna be in keeping with the rest of the ride, but.
Here we go. Hey, puppy. Any of you know what floor this is? I'm trying to get back to my apartment.
So I like that. I like the having the voice directly talk to the people walking in. It's nice. Yeah, I'll keep going. So this is one of the build, like the notice boards that you would get in these kind of spaces, right, in real life. And one of the problems with this is that the brief that the designers in this ride would have been given is, make a notice board for the world, the Secret Life of Pets. So you're like, okay, well, I can kind of introduce elements that maybe the movies didn't cover, like, what's the coffee shop around the corner like, what kind of local music scene is there. You can have all these like little nods to a world outside of the movie's established world. But the problem is that the movie's established world is so empty because it is just a New York apartment in modern day, and that's it. There's nothing else on top of that. If this was, for example, Hotel Transylvania, this entire apartment block could be a hotel. Every room has got different things. There's like, you can look in through the peepholes and there's like spooky things on the other side of the doors. There's like tentacles reaching out from letterboxes. A million things you could have done. With Secret Life of Pets, there's fuck all, to put it bluntly. I find this IP to be really quite baffling because there's so little to it. The idea of a Secret Life of Pets ride seems like a cruel joke in a lot of ways. I'm sure they did their best with making these posters. I'm sure they're lovely to look at, but ultimately, I question whether you're able to kind of get people on board with this ride in that way, when the core foundations of the narrative and the theming are quite flimsy, in my opinion. But I'm sure the artists had a great time. They made some beautiful artwork to hang on the walls and made some great things. Door number 1. Oh, nothing happens. Door number 2. You got these interactive screens. Interactive. Yeah, interactive, because you have to bend down and you have to lift up the little flap to see it. So I would consider that to be an interactive element. So there's a couple of interesting things about this, right? The first thing is that as they've walked in, the first thing the first person did was try to open the letterbox and it denied them. It's fused shut. There's nothing to interact with, right? How many people did that? How many people walked in and went, "Ooh, I wonder if I can..." No. And what I really question is you would really have to anticipate that, because you should be doing walkthroughs of your ride. Even on paper, you should be doing a walkthrough of your ride in your head and kind of wondering, what are people going to expect to happen, and if it doesn't happen, why? If it does happen, how do you do it? What's the best way of doing it? What's the expectation? And then what's the subversion of that expectation, which then creates joy? So if you have someone kind of think, "Oh, I wonder if I can open this door," they try to open it, and maybe it comes open just a little bit, and a hand comes out. So you've got expectation, door can open, subverted expectation, oh, it only opens a little bit, surprise comes out, or maybe like they to fit this ride, if you turn it, the handle, you hear like a barking on the other side of the door, like it's a guard dog. So the door doesn't even need to open a little bit. All you've got is basically just an object that turns slightly and triggers a sound effect on the other side of the door. Very, very small, very, very easy to implement. You got questions about I don't know if this is just because we're in the era of COVID, but you got questions about, people touching the door handle and germs and stuff. But interactive elements, I mean, as you can see here, he's touching the flaps. How many people are touching that? Yeah. So, but what happens here is he opens the letter, pause, nothing happens, moves on, right? There's another door here with another element of the same style. So this is another question about designing the ride, is what you don't want is what just happened, where they walk up and there's a video playing that's like, it's a looped, like almost like a comedy sketch, right? So if you've got a looped comedy sketch, what you want is the comedy sketch is this long, X amount of seconds long, and then a little buffer so that when it ends, it can loop back to the start, so that as people are filtering through, they'll be able to see it start to finish and move on, and it doesn't need to have to do like a hard reset, or you feel like you've missed something. But what's happened there is that he's walked up, he's opened it, it's been in that little section at the end that should allow it to buffer around, but that section's obviously too long because now they've completely missed the bulk of it. So how long do you make the buffer? How long do you make the sketch? And then you think, well, what you can do is counteract that by having several of these letterboxes open along this hallway. And you can have several of these letterboxes open along the hallway so that if they miss one, they'll hit another one. If they're walking through, they can hear one triggering and they can kind of stop and have a look, or just kind of think, oh, well, someone else is looking through there, I'll go to the next one. You've got to get people going through this hallway at a certain pace. If you've got blockages, if you've got people standing there watching a comedy sketch that's a minute and a half long, families all gather around each other, people bend over, some people have different body types, they need to, they need quite a bit of space. So now you've created a blockage, doesn't allow people to get through. I think this ride is actually designed as a full walkthrough for, even before COVID, for people to kind of filter through at their own pace, and that things are naturally designed to allow them to do that without stopping for too long. Or in the spaces where they are invited to stop, there's enough space for people to get past, etc. So what's interesting is, if you're planning this out on paper, what you can actually do is test this section of the ride before it ever reaches this point of development. Because what you can do is have draw animatics of your comedy sketches that are going to be playing on the other side of the letterboxes, right? Put them on like an iPad and dot them as if you've got the blueprints of the space, if you know exactly how much space you can be working with, use that space, get a big room and dot them at the distance that you think that they would be going at, and then just have people walk through it. And you have them walk through it, and what you can discover from there is, okay, well, the sketches are too long, or the buffer space is too long, they're missing the sketches. Like, literally iPads with like cardboard fake doors in front of them, and you can simulate that space and that experience, and you can kind of go, okay, well, the buffer space is too long, so we're going to shorten that, and then you send them through again, and you test and you test and you test, and you can do that before they ever get to the point when you're doing animation, or you're doing it like, once you reach the animation stage, 43 seconds total, 36 seconds for the sketch, 12 seconds for the I think my math is off. I think I said different numbers there, but you understand. This isn't a math channel, all right? If you want maths, go to the cunt in the red shirt. But with this, you can test all that, you can get it all done, and then once you've got that perfect formula, then you can start animating and you can start building doors and sets and all these kind of things. Side note, this door doesn't have any sound. So again, disappointment. The letterbox didn't open, and the bit that's the reference to the part of the movie that was in the trailer where it plays I think it actually plays like Jump by System of a Down. Am I going mental? Pogo? Am I going mental thinking that that is what that is? In my head, it's the Jump, Pogo, 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 Pogo. It's probably not. It's probably not. But yeah, again, disappointment. Missed opportunity. So here we're going to get, again, back to the crux of this thing that I just kept coming back to in my first recording is it's just an apartment building. It's just an apartment building. This is a great set piece. COVID alert. But all you've got is a knocked over jar and your animatronic, which is the thing that people want to see, right? Like that's the cute bit. But you've got an entire space that is just devoid of theming, interesting elements, sound and movement, life, even like stuff like this, dotted around everywhere. You got one box on top of the fridge at the end of the room. You've got a little mini animatronic in the not even in the center of the room, at the end of the room. There's just a lot of very, very empty space, and we're gonna come back to that again. I only got halfway through the video, the original walkthrough, before I realized. So the second half of this is going to be potentially a lot more engaging because we were discovering it together. But we'll try and push on with this. I'll try and see if I can remember everything I said the first time around. So there's a lot of waiting here, I think, because of COVID. They're like making sure that everybody keeps physical distance, which is fine. So, a couple of things here. Brilliant. I love this. It's a great use of a screen by having it behind a vent. So you've like given it a bit of a in-world purpose, but also the character is talking directly to you, the viewer, and also is talking about, do I go to the left, do I go to the right? There's an inference of a space there. It's not accepting that it's on a screen. It's pretending like it's a proper space.
The world is full of so many mysteries. Okay, definitely should have gone to the left.
So there's a really nice wee moment there where, as he's walking away, you can hear the little toes disappearing off. What I would like to see from that is later on, as you're walking through, if there's like a vent above your head that you can hear those toes going like tick 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 tick, like disappearing off. It should feel like this guinea pig gerbil. I think it's a guinea pig, but with these character designs, it's not 100%. In my opinion, maybe he's a hamster, but yeah, you can carry that throughout the rest of the walkthrough. The sound of the little toes going tick 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 tick. You can hear. I mean, he bumped into the wall on the other side, so you've got a clumsy guinea pig walking through the ride with you. Like, that's a great little comedic callback opportunity, and a nice wee thread of a narrative that you can have through the whole ride. So you introduce them on the top of the elevator, and then you have them in the vents, and then you have them kind of come with you. That's a really, really clever idea. I'll be honest, it comes up a little bit later. I don't know if it comes up even further after that, but we'll find out together.
Thank you.
I am going to be very, very nice to the ride here and assume that if this wasn't COVID, that this isn't the route you would take. I think they've closed off a certain section and made you go up here because this is an empty hallway and this sucks. So if this is part of the official ride, negative points. But I'm going to assume that they've made some last minute edits. Again, more theming that isn't really theming. It doesn't really perform anything for the IP, the brand. It's just generic posters that would exist in the real world. I mean, they look great, but I think as part of theming, I think it doesn't really. Is it a failing of these particular pieces to fail to build a world, or is it a failing of the original movie to have a world not worth building upon? So again, you got the guinea pig there, but when you think about this room that you're in, it's a whole new space that you've walked into, and what have you got? You've got an iPad on the wall showing a bit of theming, and the rest is like an IKEA room demo. Like, you can just come in and buy all this furniture. Like, you've got Duke and Max. You got references to characters. I assume that those are characters. I don't remember any of their names. But this whole ride up to this point, it feels like an IKEA demo world. Like, everything should have little price tags on them. Beautiful poster. But so this entire space, you've got one reference that you already made earlier on. You got little Minions fridge magnet reference to one of their other movies, but like, these fridge magnets, I didn't catch this the first time around, but these are opportunities to have. The movie's called The Secret Life of Pets, so these are opportunities to have other secret life of other pets in other parts of the world. So you have on the bike, for instance, like a stack of rats, like 5 rats on top of each other, all trying to like ride a bicycle. Because the whole point of The Secret Life of Pets is that they all live in these little worlds, but then something upends that, and then they have to go out on, I think it's like the rabbit and the dog have to go out on like an adventure to like, I literally don't even remember the plot of the movie, but they go out on an adventure, and I'm sure there's like a wacky scene of them riding a skateboard down a hill and going whoa or whatever, But these little fridge magnets, or the poster art on the walls, or postcards that you can put on the fridge, can have these little inferences of other secret lives of pets. And it's just not there. There's nothing to this.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you puppies go see Captain Snowball? He lives to help animals. Good guy. Crazy, but a good guy.
He's just down the hall that way.
By the way, it's your turn.
Okay. Whoa.
I'm gonna win.
Oh, this is too stressful. Can't we play biscuit checkers or tic-tac-toe?
Okay, so the animatronics feel very, very lifeless. The blinks are these kind of slow half blinks. They're not really emoting. Like, there's no natural emotion on their face. The voice work, I think, is very like, we pulled you in to do some quick voiceover pickup lines, and nobody's really feeling it. They're talking about playing Jenga on the table, but they're not moving, but they're pretending with their voice work like they are. So there's this big disconnect that it just all feels very kind of half-baked to me. However, there's some nice stuff.
Oh, this is too stressful.
They're talking about the space that you're in, so he referenced, if you go see this other character just down the hallway, they're in that space with you. They're, it's not just lines from the movie or quotes from the movie that don't quite fit.
We play biscuit checkers or tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-bone, like dogs. But you'll see here in a second.
Sure, but they don't exactly look house-trained.
Hey, maybe I could adopt one.
Duke, I love you, man, but you are barely house.
So what I like about that is they're talking again. It was the same with the guinea pig. Like, when you are talking to the people in the room, even in a very vague way, particularly for younger rides, it can help kind of bring a bit of extra life to it and kind of make you feel like you're part of that. And yeah, I think that stuff works. I think on paper this room works. Maybe the guardrail should be like one of those like dog barrier ones, you see the white ones. Maybe that would help kind of pull it together a bit. But when you think about the opportunity they had with this space, what did they land on? We're going to put the two of them on a couch and have a fake Jenga tower on the table. And that's it. You've got the world behind them. You've got the world around you. And you don't want to do too much that detracts attention away from them because they're the heroes of the room. But, I don't know, just jazz at night. Like, what? Missed opportunities again. So we're going to continue on. So this is when they referenced, they said, oh, go see General whatever, he's in the room next door, right? So you can hear him on the screen. It's themed like a YouTube video that's playing on a screen. What a chip! So you've got like a short skit that plays on the screen. I talked about this the first time around, but if again it fits the brief because it's a New York apartment, so it would make sense that it would have TVs. And if you do have TVs in the world, you would want it to be playing things because there's an opportunity there for something interesting, and it's easy to do that. You know, you get the animation done and you just have it play on loop, right? But the pitch I had as a kind of a replacement for this is the window that they walked past. The windows are all screens, right? But they don't actually do anything with them. So if I posit this idea that if you've got those windows that are the houses on the other side of the street, maybe you have something with the windows open and silhouettes. So the sketch that's happening behind you can play out that way, but you put a bit of reverb on it and or echo, and it sounds like that's happening in the room on the other side of the street. So you hear the sound of that character going like, oh, you know, he's basically like doing the sketch, but it fits the space that you're in. It sounds like it's coming from over there. You've got some opportunities for some like slapstick comedy by having it be just silhouettes. I just feel like that's a lot more befitting, and it doesn't seem like a huge amount. It doesn't seem like a huge amount more work. That's always a dangerous thing to say, you know, like, isn't it just a case of, is a classic that designers hate. But I feel like this is absolute bare bones version of the brief. And talk about a choke point. If you've just got people just standing in this room watching a YouTube video, like, nothing there, no theming really. You got little nods to, so you can tell what part of the house you're in now because you're going into the rabbit bit, which is Kevin Hart's character. You got like a little rabbit hidden in that painting. But could you have even like little like the top parts are carrots, if you know, like they eat the full carrot and there's like the little top bit with the green sticking out, like have a couple of them kind of like haphazardly in the corners of things, you know, like just make the world feel a bit lived in.
Sanitize your hands and may experience slight delays in the boarding process, as some rows may not be available to allow for appropriate physical distancing. Thank you and enjoy your day here at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Volume down. Wrap it back up. So this is the point I got to when I realized that the video wasn't recording this whole time. Great. I mean, it's COVID, so you know they have to play these like warnings to make sure that people are like social distancing, because they can't keep an eye on everybody, you know, because the rooms are so small. So we're gonna pretend like, you know, you walk in and the Kevin Hart on voice and animatronic is just playing as you walk in.
It may experience slight delays in the boarding process, as some rows may not be available to allow for appropriate physical distancing.
I like the setup of this room. I like that he's like he's not just like sitting in the middle of the space. you know, like it's very obvious. Like the fact that they've placed them up high, which means that like people of different heights can like look up and see, you know, the big ears hanging over the top. You got the light casting nicely with the shadow behind them. So even though he's not necessarily in the center of the space, he's the center of attention. Everybody can kind of point and face towards them and know exactly where they are and not miss them.
And enjoy your day here at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Psych! I don't have fleas. That there was a mind game.
The ears bend, which is nice. Like it goes aha, and the ears stretch out. That's a nice touch.
Psych! I don't have fleas. That there was a mind game. My superior buddy brain just tricked you. Okay, so to find you a home, we're gonna need the
Lived in. This feels like a lived in space. This doesn't. It no longer feels like an IKEA dress room. Like it feels like you got the minion in there as well, hidden in there. Yeah, and the characters like fully animated, fully moving, more so than the dogs in the other room. This feels like a star
Enjoy your day here at Universal
room
Studios Hollywood.
that fans of the series, if there are, and there must be,
there was a mind game.
would get something out of that.
Buddy brain just tricked you.
And Kevin Hart's doing a decent voiceover work, so
A home, we're gonna need the greatest plan ever created. Lucky you, every new plan I come up with is the new greatest plan.
heart conditions. Oh, it's an actual ride. How brilliant was it that I've done the intro twice and it was the walkthrough. I thought it was the fucking ride. Oh my god. Alright, okay. Okay, so we're going on a ride then. Well, cool. Actually, as this was passing by, I was thinking, heart conditions or blood pressure, dude, we're just walking. Like, if they can't, oh, right. Okay, well, first thing I notice is really, really, really great ride seats, themed perfectly. They look exactly like they're supposed to look. They look like they're made out of cardboard. You've got like the serrated edge down the down parts of the sides. It's different. It's great. I really, really like that. I think that's if you hadn't seen the movie and you were just on the ride, perhaps the ride is like a self contained element. It would be a bit like, why is this made out of cardboard? But if you've seen the movie, you know that they I'm fairly sure that they like make things so that they can like escape. You know, like they'll use like coat hangers to like ride down wires and stuff. That kind of I'm pretty sure it's that kind of movie. If not, I'm giving this way more credit than it deserves, which is ironic considering I've given it zero fucking credit up to this point. You've got the ride attendees have got like the paw prints on their back, so it's all themed. Pull down bars, a nice big long carousel. I wonder what it's like working on a carousel for hours on end. Like, do you feel really weird after it's done? Where you feel like you're gonna fall over? Bespoke video elements. It's nice. I like it. I like that they're not just. I think a lot of people would have just had the camera just directly up on them, so you can see their. They're basically like right up to the camera. I like that it's further away because it adds to this feeling that they're at a window about like that's like a gangway up there. See, to me it's up there, but to you it's fine. You know what I mean when I'm pointing. I don't know if anybody's actually watching this part of the screen, but yeah, it's nice. It makes sense. Like you've got that window bit that's open just above them, so you can see where the glass is versus where the glass isn't, and it's a nice effect. It's a good job. It's a physical element as well. That open window bit. Yeah, great.
He's right. You're all gonna die. Oh man, here we go. I'm so excited. My whole body is
So you can see as that one that red card just rotated. So you're facing one way. They're obviously going to take you along this track. I get the feeling like they're going to basically just point you at everything that you need to look at. If something's over here, they're going to physically like grab your face and turn you. Which is a totally viable way of doing a dark ride. It's in a lot of ways it's particularly for younger ones. I find it's probably a better way of doing it because it means that they're not going to miss anything. It means that all of your gags and your story, your narrative that they're going to be carried through, they're not going to miss any of the beats. I think we talked about this in the Splash Mountain video way back, but there's different ways of doing that, like pulling their attention. Virtual reality still hasn't really figured this out, but it's a major question when you're designing something that's in a 3D space, which is how and when do you pull their attention? Because sometimes you want people to kind of catch things out the corner of their eye and feel like they've discovered it. You kind of maybe want them to feel all encompassed in action, all around them. If you've got Transformers flying around your head, do you want them to just watch Optimus Prime, or do you want them to feel like there's Transformers going everywhere and they don't know quite where to look? Can add to that chaos. But yeah, I think that this one is going to be pointing us totally valid. I did see an example someone was using for a virtual reality space. They were using manga panels, like a comic book, to appear. So if I'm facing this way, one appears like here, just in front of me, a little bit to the right, so I look, and then the next one appears there, so I look there, and the next one appears there, and I look there, and it drags the viewer all the way to the 3D model that walked in through the door. Which otherwise, if you didn't have those elements kind of going like breadcrumbs, like da-da-da-da-da, you might have missed them walking into the door, and it feels like you're missing something. It feels like you're just like, I can hear a voice, but what the fuck's going on? And it can be a bit kind of overwhelming, unfulfilling. Oh, that's cute. Oh, it's like they're using like Kinect technology to like motion track and face track. But very simple. Like nowadays, it's very simple. Like, you know, the kids are all used to like Talking Tom. Talking Tom is like its own brand of it in and of itself, and it's just tracks your mouth, tracks your eyebrows and your expressions, and tracks your hands. That's a brilliant. I think that's very, very modern, very great way of engaging young people. We've had versions like that going all the way back to like the Haunted Mansion that is like decades old, where, you know, it looks like by use of mirrors it looks like there's ghosts in the car with you, whereas this way they've transformed you. I think that's brilliant. I think also adding to that idea that you are a pet in the building that the Secret Life of Pets movie is based on, filled with all the other pets, makes you their peer. It makes you like part of the story. Yeah, but brilliant. And the model looks really nice. That's a great idea. Okay. Right. So, a couple of things to talk about here. Holy shit. You've got a world now. I would argue that it's not necessarily populated with anything particularly interesting, but it looks great, and it feels reasonably nice. Like it's like a kind of a cutesy, rounded version of our world. I like the lights and the scaffolding on the side. It's like a little kind of cafe. I actually don't know if it's scaffolding or if I think I'm pretty sure it is. I just noticed that there's a giant beam that they're sitting on, so it's definitely construction work. Yeah, you're turning into, like, it's rotating you into this reveal, almost like a curtain opening reveal of all of the characters gathered together talking to you, being like, good luck, you're about to go on a journey or whatever it is. You've got a couple of little sight gags with the Dachshund trying to reach. this is great. Like, this is squeezing all of the juice out of the lemon. I would argue it's a small lemon, but they're getting all the juice out of it. Nice. I like having models, like elements that hang over, so they're not just like, you know, above you. They're actually like kind of. It feels almost like they're like, with the tail hanging out the back and the tongue element like moving here. There's a lot of moving parts, and it feels like it feels nice. It feels cool. I like that kind of. What's the phrase I'm thinking of here? Space. Moving on. Yeah, so the... Oh, okay, well the danger here is now you very, very obviously can see the wires, like, not that, you know, you have to... Not that I'm saying that they should have used a real drone, or that they should invent hover technology for this element. But I think what's happened is you're inviting people to look up, and that's where all the lights are, that's where all the rigs are. You've got so many great elements in front and around, like at all sides. The one place you kind of don't want them to look is up. Elements in the windows, silhouettes. They did it. Why didn't they do that earlier? You had screens. Good stuff. The music is nice. It's like high jazz. It's kind of got that feeling of energy. It's got that it's matching the world that you're in at the moment, where everything is moving around you at all times. All the nice little things, like all the bushes are different colors. Stuff like that is like really nice attention to detail, because it fits that New York autumnal kind of thing that Americans seem to love. Apparently, they all go east to watch the leaves change or some shit. I don't know. Americans are weird. But yeah, it's when you're looking at the color elements, you've got like a lot of nice bursts of color happening in like these block spaces. Like the buildings are two colors. Each building is two colors, but they're all different colors. So it's these kind of popping bursts that, as long as they're all within the same kind of range, they don't clash, which is nice. Downward dog yoga, great pun. And there's a dog doing it. Brilliant. Where the fuck was this? Like, okay, so some of you might be thinking, okay, well, I mean, that was the queue to get in. Like, that was the onboarding before the actual ride. Like, now you're actually on the ride. Of course, this is where the good stuff is. But everything I said up to that point is the introduction to the ride. And if the introduction is weak, then it makes the ride less good. So that's why you pay as much attention to detail to the entire experience from the minute that they start to approach the ride to once they've left the ride. These are the evil cats. Oh, I like the projection elements. That's cute. The animatronics are fine. I think they're... Walking over the piano is a great touch. Like, there's a good range of animatronics in different poses. They're not all kind of... They're not relying on just the voiceover to carry the joke or whatever. Like, there's a lot of different like shapes and silhouettes happening with all the different animatronics. Missed opportunity for that grate to have something on it, maybe like the screen door, or would that be too much? Because when you're moving from area to area,
do you want them to kind of like focus on, okay, now we're in the cat space, so you want them to look at the cats, and then we're going to transition into the next space, which is the more hanging cats. More sense of movement, verticality, different heights, different types of movement, different elements. It's nice and varied. I like it. You've introduced an element of danger. It's very like Splash Mountain-y kind of way doing it. Projection directly onto the wall. Good use of light to kind of make so you can see like the brick wall around it. I keep pointing at my screen, you can't fucking see. But the brick wall around the windows, you can see the way that they've done the light on the 3D animation casts shadows as it's moving around. Isn't this clever way of making it look more three-dimensional than it actually is? By having the lights do the heavy lifting. Got that classic Looney Tunes-esque like music that do 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 do. I mean, we can't necessarily pick it up from the camera, but I get the feeling that the cart doesn't actually move. And obviously we can't get things like, I can't tell if there's heat. What I would want from this space if I was designing it, you know, what I like to do is design for perfect worlds, which is you've got infinite money and everything would go right, and you don't have anything to worry about, and then you can scale down from there rather than scaling upwards. But if I was designing this part, I'd be like, okay, heat. You want the feeling of heat in this room. You want it to feel like there's fire actually there, and you want the ride cart to shudder, particularly when you get into the room with the fireworks. Like, you want it to feel, if a character is doing this on a firework, perhaps you would want the cart to feel like it's kind of doing this. So we can't quite infer that from the video, but I would hope that it's not just kind of calmly wafting through this scene, because they're very nicely built up from that when you first entered the space to this point. You want them to feel that building rather than just observing that building. Nice smoke element on the dog's tail there. It's a great detail. Oh, he's like blowing it, and when he blows, when his head goes forwards, there's like a light on the end of the tail. That's a great detail. Oh yeah, big fan of that. Oh, and they're gonna like spritz you. This is a great idea. It's a nice, really good, nice, gentle way of bringing them down without it feeling like a boring, unnecessary part of the ride. It has its own. I feel like, is there a missing element there, or is the timing just off? Those look like screens on those individual sections. It feels like something's gonna like pass through it and like go through the tumble dryer. But it completely missed on camera, so this person didn't get any of it. It's kind of a bummer. Yeah, it came from the bottom part there, so it's gonna like get sucked in through and go through the tumble dryer. I mean, we spoke about this back at the doorway with the letterboxes, but if people don't see it, then what's the point in having it? And you really do need to time these things. Maybe there's a reason why. Maybe they've like just sped up the carts for COVID. No, that doesn't make sense at all. I don't know. This seems like an oversight, but perhaps I'm missing something. But it seems like they've made the timing on that section there where she's like, remind me why. It's like, well, why not just pop her up, do the brush, send her through, like, get it moving. There's no time for your joke if the good bit isn't seen. Oh, he's wet. Oh, and then you go through the hairdryer. I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear the sound of the wind in the ears. So the person being blown in the car getting progressively more and more fluffy. That is great job on that element. Really, really great use of it.
You're so cute. Please, please, please.
Yeah, please, please, please.
They've got that because it's Illumination Animation that studios that's done this one, but they've got that those character models that people have started to hate. I don't know if you've seen this, but they made an advert in America for some like food, like Deliveroo kind of food thing, and they look like these. I don't know if they were actually done by Illumination, but they've got this style, and it looks like the characters from like Despicable Me 2, and people fucking hate it. Like I've seen a lot of people referencing it online and just being like, I hate this advert, I hate these people. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a meme, and I agree. I don't like the way they look. I hate the way that their mouths are always. They look like if you take like Play-Doh and you take a knife and cut a hole. It just there's something about their mouths that I find myself just being a bit turned off by. I don't like the way Despicable Me looks. I don't like the way that that these people look, and yeah, it's not a trend I would like to continue. Oh, I just realized this is the trope that Shrek introduced. The post-movie dance party. It's made its way to theme parks. Brilliant.
That's right, even you. You attacked, but I got you home.
You got human already? I just found this boy.
I like that one. This guy here. Watch him.
You attacked, but I got you home.
You got human already? I just found this boy.
Brilliant. Great stuff. Oh, putting him in at the end in the vent. Brilliant little wrap up. First character you see, last character you see. Nice bookend.
Welcome home. As
You were adopted. So the idea is that you were a dog who didn't have a home, and then you went on this kind of like adventure, and there was some madcap kind of running with the cats, and then you got all cleaned up, and then you got adopted at the end, and then there's a big dance party, and they're all like, "Yeah, congratulations, you got adopted. Now you're one of us." Brilliant. Great story, great theme, great way to tie it all together. The dance part at the end is objectively, I think it's a good way of ending it. I think it makes sense. I think if you ended it at the adoption part, it might have felt a little bit kind of like there's not that confirmation from the characters that that was a good thing. It would just feel a bit tacked on at the end. But the whole dance party at the end of an animated movie thing is it needs to stop. Sing did it. What were those other ones? Angry Birds did it. Oh yeah, they've all Hotel Transylvania do it. It's
return, please lift your
and that's the end. Thank you to Theme Park Shark for that video. That was a weird one. I mean, I did the intro twice. It's so funny. I didn't realize it was an actual ride. I genuinely, for the first recording as well as the second recording, I thought that whole time that this was going to be the ride, that it was just going to be a walkthrough. Knowing now that it's a full ride, I would like to be a bit more nice to the first half, for all of its failings, because it is just the queuing section. But I actually think no, I think it's not just the queue, right? It's the introduction to the world, it's the introduction to the themes, it's opportunities for engagement, it seems like a very, very, very long queue walkthrough of IKEA with some theming very, very lightly placed in certain rooms. I would have liked to have seen a lot more kind of put into that, just to kind of really bring the whole thing together. But as a big building that you walk into that has a ride built into it in the alleyway behind it, I think it's I think it came together really, really nicely in the end. I think the ride itself is really, I think as long as there's a semblance of movement in the cart, I think it could be one that I would actually be like, no, I want to go experience that. Like if I was there at Universal Studios Hollywood, I think I'd be like, yeah, I want to go out my way to go see that. I don't know if I would wait a huge amount of time, but yeah, some good stuff in there. A bit surprised. I've been talking for about an hour and a half now because of the recording failing, so I'm gonna end it here. Bye.